Hello, everyone. Hello. Welcome to day 5 of the Herbally-Inspired Holiday Challenge. As you can see, I am here in my kitchen. Today, what we're going to be working on, or what I'm going to be sharing with you, is how to get started actually making some herbal extracts. Because as I mentioned early on in our intro, we want to get started with these immediately because they take a few weeks to really get infused and extracted. So that's something you want to start early. Now, today, our plant of the day is rosemary. And what I love about a plant like rosemary is that we think it's just something flavorful for our cooking to make things taste better and so on. But a lot of these culinary herbs that we use regularly, thyme, sage, parsley, and so on, they are part of our cuisine because of the health benefits that they have. And as we'll find out, rosemary is actually very good for your digestion. But before I get into that, I want to share, of course, our card of the day. And this is from the Soulflower Plant Spirit Oracle deck by Lisa Estabrook. And I wrote it down on a separate page here so I could show you the card and read it at the same time. So the word for rosemary is clarity. It says clarity. Who are you really? Rosemary infuses the body with warmth and vitality, bringing security and clarity to the spirit, especially when it has lost connection with the physical world. Rosemary helps you to feel fully embodied and grounded so that you are better able to remember who you truly are. So I love it. Again, her beautiful drawing. She's just a lovely artist. And I'll create a post that lists the different cards the card decks that I'm using in case you're interested in getting some for yourself. I really like working with them. I think they just add such a different additional dimension to the to working with herbs. They show us that plants have wisdom beyond just, you know, their chemical constituents. And for me, that's really, really important. So just a little bit more about rosemary. These are actually from some plants I had growing in a window box. I just recently brought them inside. Where I live in zone, it's like borderline zone 5 and 6. Rosemary is not necessarily hardy, and so I have to bring my plants in during the winter and hope for the best. I don't always like being inside. But I've got a few sprigs here that I've cut, and I'm going to be making a rosemary vinegar out of those and showing you how to do that. But I just want to say a little bit about rosemary's medicinal properties. And rosemary is, like I said, it's one of these plants that we think is just for culinary use, but it actually has so many benefits. And one of the main things it does is it's very good for your digestion. In particular, what it does, it helps to sort of stimulate the gallbladder and the liver to make sure that they're able to digest fatty foods. You know, the gallbladder, the bile is for fat digestion. And so it kind of makes sense that we often think of rosemary as being eaten with something like a pork roast, let's say, something that's type of meat that has a lot of fat in it. And then we would put rosemary with that, and it's going to help aid in the digestion of the food that we're eating. It also helps with circulation, not just your blood circulation, but it helps with kind of your extremities, and if it's indicated for sort of more weak, cold type of a constitution, for people who just really don't have a lot of good activity going on in their hands and fingers. It can be useful for gout and a lot of other things. You know, I'm not here to give you all of the medical reasons why you should use rosemary, but just suffice it to say that one of the things that's so great about these common herbs is that they have all these wonderful beneficial properties. And so, believe it or not, a lot of you came into this group saying you were beginners, but the truth is you're probably already using a lot of herbs in your kitchen that are beneficial to your health. So good for you. And it's a lot easier than you think. Now, what I like to do, I have a rosemary vinegar here that I've just about used up that I made last year. And it's made with this apple cider vinegar here. Again, if you saw my supply list video from day 2, I talk about the different types of extracts that we're using. I like to use the raw vinegar because it has probiotic properties to it. And so all I'm going to do today, it's actually super easy. I'm just going to basically take my rosemary, and I've got a canning jar here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create my vinegar extract in the canning jar. And then if I want to gift it, or maybe get to the point where I want to use it and I want something that's easier to pour out of, then I will move it into a jar like this. So I'm not going to do my extract in my fancy jar. I'm just going to start with a basic jar here. And since I still have some left, I don't need to make a huge rosemary vinegar. So I'm just going to strip off the leaves and stick it into the jar. Now, on here, rosemary in particular has a very woody stem, and so that's part of the reason why I'm not using the stem from the plant as well. So just pull these off, throw them in, leaving the stem behind. If I was making a soup stock or something like that, I could throw the stems in and just have a little bit of flavor in for those. But at this point, I'm not going to use the stems. I like my handy dandy pruners. And one of the things you can see in here, how I've got big pieces of rosemary. These I added in after I made the vinegar. So what you're going to do is create your extract. And then if you want to gift it, and you would put a fresh stalk of rosemary into the jar before you give it away, and it looks nicer that way. Once things have been extracted for a while, they start to look a little, well, extracted. So again, I'm just simply going to take these off and put them into the jar. And you can chop them up even more than this if you want to. The more you cut something up, the more surface area is going to come in contact with the extract. And therefore, excuse me, you'll be able to take more things out of the plant material as it extracts. So I'm just simply going to pour my vinegar over the top. And as you can see here, this is because this is fresh material. Not going to need, so look, I can use my stem as a little stir stick. So what I want is I want it to be loosely covered, just kind of floating in whatever I'm using for my extract. And for the first week or so, you want to leave the things you're extracting in a place where you're going to walk by them all the time, and you're going to constantly sort of shake them and till they start to get sort of waterlogged, I guess is the word I'm looking for, so that the plant material starts to kind of like sink down in there, and you can tell that it's starting to be infused with the extract. Now, I'm using one of these reusable lids. It's plastic, and the reason why I'm using that instead of a regular metal lid is because of the vinegar. So I don't want the vinegar is very corrosive, and so if you only have the metal type of canning lids, then you want to put either a piece of like parchment paper or wax paper or something like that over the top before you put the lid on. Okay, and basically, believe it or not, that's basically it. And so you're just going to let it infuse. Like I said, you're going to leave it on your counter. You're going to walk by it, and then you're just going to shake it every couple of weeks. or a couple of weeks, a couple of times a day is what you want. Now, I thought just for fun, since we're in the kitchen, that I would give you an idea of what my countertop looks like in my kitchen all the time. It drives my family crazy, but I always have a number of different things extracting. This year, I had a great crop of New England aster, which is a very good flower that you can use. It's actually for asthma. So I have a huge bottle of aster flowers extracting in brandy right here. And you can see on here that I have used a label. I always like to use just like this blue painter's tape. It's very, very handy. And so I put what it is, what it's being extracted in, and the date that I started it. Some people like to put the date that it's done, but I prefer to put the date I started because otherwise it gets confusing. So the date I started it, and I usually extract for about 6 weeks. So this was September 29th. This is ready to filter and be put into a different type of container for storage. I've also got some elderberries and glycerite that I'm experimenting around with. And I've got some garlic and honey, which has come in handy for my husband. He's been sick this week. And another glycerite, and then another honey extract that I have going here. So once you start getting into doing extracts with herbs, you'll better make sure that you have a good countertop that you can fill up with all kinds of jars of things that are extracting all the time, because you pretty much constantly have things going on. And it becomes basically fun, a fun sort of chemistry kind of experiment. I'm looking here and I see that someone says that she's infusing vinegar and rose hips, and then vinegar and mint. So awesome. There, see, what do you like? You just use whatever you have and you play down around with some stuff I recently saw. And I may add later a combination of rosemary and ginger. I would never think to put those two together in anything, but I may add some ginger to this later on. So that's really all I wanted to show you today. I wanted to show you how easy it is to just get started making an extract. Vinegar is very easy, and vinegar is nice because it takes out a lot of the more mineral components of the plant that you're using, and so it does have a lot of bring out those other healthful benefits. So don't delay, get started extracting today. Grab whatever you have in the cupboard. Again, if you're using dry material, you may very likely have to go back and don't fill it all the way to the top. You may have to go back and add more liquid as it starts to absorb a lot of the liquid that you're using. So that's our show for today, or our live stream for today. And so I'm glad to see that people are already getting started doing some things, doing some extracts. And I want to wish you all a happy Saturday. So take care, everybody. Have a great afternoon. Bye-bye.